All three sides are equal. Okay, so that means that this is 2 inches and this is 2 inches. If it's equilateral, what's their angle measures?
Oh, angle.
Yeah, because they add up to 180. There's 3 equal angles. 180 divided by 3 is 60. Right?
Uh-huh.
Cool. If I draw a line straight down here, that forms a 90-degree angle.
Yes, it does.
It's going to cut this base exactly in half, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
It is. Okay, it cuts that base exactly in half. So if this is 90, this is 60, then what is this now? 30. So that becomes 30 degrees. So we have a 30, 60, 90.
Yeah.
So there's one thing I want you to maybe notice here. We took an equilateral triangle. We cut it exactly in half. And this side became 1. And this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. What do you notice about the relationship between the short leg and the hypotenuse?
Half.
It's half. Or you could say the hypotenuse is double the short leg. Right? That would be the case in any equilateral triangle. If we took this, it started as an equilateral triangle, cut it in half, okay? You're going to get 30, 60, 90. And obviously this is 30, 60, 90 because 90 plus 60 take away from 180 is 30. It started as an equilateral that we cut in half. Therefore, this short leg has to be how long? 4. They all 30, 60, 90 triangles could have started as equilateral that were cut in half. Therefore, the short leg is half the hypotenuse, always. Okay? Now let's find the long leg. Guess what we're going to use to do that?
Pythagorean.
Correct. We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem just to see what happens. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I'm going to say that's a. It doesn't matter. So it's 16 plus b squared equals 64. Subtract 16 from both sides, you would get 48. Okay, I'm going to bring it up here. Now, I don't want b squared, so I got to take the square root of both sides. And I get b equals the square root of 48. But that's not simplified.
No, but you know what it is? 6 and 8.
It could be 6 and 8, but it could also be bigger. There's a bigger perfect square that 16 is what we're going to use. Because that'll help us simplify. Right there, there's a perfect square list. So I'm going to split it up to the square root of 16 times the square root of 3. Because 16 times 3 is 48. And that helps me because I can take the square root of that, and it's 4 times the square root of 3. Oh. So that's my long leg. If I write that in here, you see something interesting? What do you notice?
It looks like it's also half of the hypotenuse
But times what?
times the square root of 3.
Oh, correct. Look, I can say that the hypotenuse is twice as long as the short leg, and the long leg is the short leg multiplied by the square root of 3. Always in a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So let's do this one without doing all the math. This is 30, this is 90, this has to be 60. We discovered in both this one and this one that the short leg is what the hypotenuse? Half. So this is 5. The short leg is half. And then we discovered here that the long leg is the short leg times what? Correct. And we have all 3 sides now. That's what's special. Okay? Isn't that special? All right. All 30, 60, 90 triangles are similar, so the ratios of their sides will always be the same. So the hypotenuse is twice the measure of the short leg. And the long leg is square root 3 times the measure of the short leg. I like to write it abbreviated like this. The hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg. And then the long leg is equal to the square root of 3 times the short. Okay? That's what we're going to be working with today. 30, 60, 90. All right, turn the page. Actually, before you do that, write x, 2x, and square root of 3x. All right? So, let's practice some of these ideas. Up here on top, this is what I'm working with, so I'm going to write it right up here. The hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg. The long leg is equal to the short times the square root of 3. Okay, let's take a look at this then. We should be able to get all the angles and all the sides here, just based on that information. So here, it's a 90 and a 60, so this has to be 30. This is the short leg, so I know the hypotenuse is going to have a value of what? 14. And the long leg is going to be what?
7 times square root.
Correct. Just based on that information. It's true for all of them. 30, 60, this has to be 30. 90 and 60, that has to be 30. The hypotenuse has to be what?
46.
Double the short leg, yeah. And then the long leg is going to be 23 times the square root of 3. No problem so far, right? Okay, let's move down here. We'll come back to that one. So this is 30, this is 90. What's this angle? Has to be 60. So this time, it's a 30, 60, 90. They gave us the hypotenuse. I can easily get the short leg by doing what?
It's 11.
Cut it in half. It's half the hypotenuse, so this is 11. And then the long leg is going to be 11 times the square root of 3. Doable, right? Okay, 90, 60, this has to be 30. Now, sometimes it's hard to identify the short and the long. Do you know how to do that with the angles? The shorter side is opposite the smaller angle. So that's the short leg right there. Okay? So how long is that going to be then? 6. It's half the hypotenuse. And then it's 6 times the square root of 3. This one's just here to show you that it's okay. This is the short leg again. It's okay to have a decimal. It's half the hypotenuse. You can have decimals, it's fine.
What? You've never said you can have this
We hate decimals.
Well, for side lengths here, you can use decimals. It's okay. For this one, you can. We're not taking the square roots here. So here it's 17.5 times the square root of 3 for that. Okay, let's now go back up here. So this is 30, this is 60, I know that. Okay, so they're saying that the short leg is 5 times the square root of 6. I know then that the hypotenuse is going to equal 2 times 5 times the square root of 6. So if I have 5 square root of 6 and I double them, how many square root of 6s do I have? I have 10. 2 times 5. If I have 5 square root of 6s and I'm multiplying by 2, it means I have 10 square root of 6s. It's not under the square root sign. So I have 10 square root of 6 here. Alrighty. This is my short leg. How do I get my long leg?
Yep.
It is gonna be 5 times the square root of 6 times the square root of 3. 5 times the square root of 6 times the square root of 3. Yeah, I can't do anything with these separate, so I'm going to put them together to see if that helps me simplify.
It doesn't.
It sure does.
9 and 2.
18 has a factor that's a perfect square, and it's 9.
But why?
Because I'll show you why. Stay with me. Trust me. What's the square root of 9? 3. So I can write it like this. 5 times 3 times the square root of 2.
So 15.
So actually the long leg is 15 times the square root of 2. Now it's kind of confusing because it doesn't have square root of 3 in it, but we did use the square root of 3. And it is just 15 times the square root of 2. Trust what you're doing, okay? All right, let's go down here. Turn the stupid phone off. I will hold on to it for you. Well, that's on the video. There we go. So this one here is 30, 60, 90. This is the long leg because it's opposite the bigger angle. Wait a minute. So if I had the short leg, how would I get the long leg? I would multiply it by the square root of 3, correct? So that means that the short leg must be how long? Just 9. Because the long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3. So the short leg is 9. Right? And then this is 18. Okay, same thing here. This is my long leg. And I get the long leg by taking the short leg times the square root of 3. So how long is the short leg? Come on, you can do this.
What do you
80. Short leg is 80. What's the hypotenuse?
160.
Okay. Okay, we're going to do this one now. 30, 60, 90. This is 60 for sure. This is the long leg. How do I get the long leg again? Everybody say it. Everybody else, say it. How do you get the long leg? Short times the square root of 3. Well, if I want to go backwards and I know how long the leg is, would I multiply or would I divide by the square root of 3? I would divide by the square root of 3. It's the opposite. So the short leg is 8 divided by the square root of 3. If I multiplied this by the square root of 3, I would get 8. So just think about it. Sometimes it's reasoning. Now I've got to double this. So if I do 8 times the square root of 3 times 2 over 1, it's actually what? 16 over the square root of 3.
I don't like this.
You can do it though, I promise. I don't wanna. All right, oh, look, we threw a curveball in here. Is this 30, 60, 90? Nope.
45.
This is 13, so this has to be 13 because it's 45, 45, 90. What's the hypotenuse?
13.
Square root of 2. Right
Are
on.
we sure it's the same?
It's not one for that.
I know, I'm not doing all of them.
Is it the same ratio, side to the long side? It's 45. 45.
No, there's no long side because they're equal in isosceles triangles.
Oh, yes, there's the same.
Okay, yeah. All right, let's look at this now. This isn't too bad. This is a 45. This has to be a right angle. This is 45. Okay, so if I start with this, in a 45, 45, 90, I get the hypotenuse by taking the leg times the square root of 2. So how long is the leg? 5. If that's 5, how long is that?
5.
If somebody's got music on, can you turn it off? Is it out there? Okay. All right. So now I've done that. So here I have the short leg. I have the short leg in 30, 60, 90. What's the hypotenuse?
2, 12.
No. Oh, you said it. What is it? It's 10. Because it's the short leg times 2, so that's 10.
So you showed 600 and then top.
That's 60 degrees. All right, now, this is 5 times the square root of 3. We take the short leg times the square root of 3. So, you can do this. All right, turn it over. We got a couple problems we have to do on the back. Alrighty, find the perimeter and area of the equilateral triangle. So, first I'm going to start with perimeter. If this is 6, how long is this and this?
I'm gonna get 6.
Right on. So I can do the perimeter right now.
And then all of the angles.
Yeah, perimeter is 6 plus 6 plus 6, which is 18. I'm done with the perimeter. 666.
Is that the Beatles? Yes.
Okay, let's do the area. In order to find the area, what's the formula for area, you guys, of a triangle?
A equals base times height divided by 3.
Divided by 2.
I guess. I was wrong.
So I know the base of this, don't I? It's 6. But I do not know the height, but I can find the height. No, I don't even need the Pythagorean theorem. This is 60, this is 90, this is 30, because I cut it in half. Split up that equilateral triangle. If I cut this bottom in half, how long is this piece right here? 3. So the short leg is 3. How long is the long leg in a 36? 3 times the square root of 3.
Dude, no.
Now I have the height.
Yeah, but now we have a square root.
Doesn't matter. So I'm going to fill in what I know.
Bless you.
Now I'm looking at the big triangle here. What is the base of this big triangle?
Thank you.
Because I'm going to find the area. How long is the big triangle? 6 times 3 times the square root of 3. That's the height. All of that divided by 2. Plugging in what I know. This is equal to 18 times the square root of 3 over 2. Oh, but look, there's a lovely fraction that can be reduced here.
9,
Yep,
9 square root of 3.
it is. It's equal to 9 times the square root of 3. That's the area. And that's the perimeter. I know you're loving this.
Now you're just crying about it.
This is so easy. Let's do this one.
Wait, don't we have to set it to the square root of?
Done. You're done.
Say like units squared.
There isn't any units. You can, but you don't have, there's no units. All right, almost done. Find all the angle measures and segment lengths in the rectangle below. Hey, hey, hey.
Hello.
What do you know about angles of a rectangle? They're all going to be what?
Right angles,
90.
90 degrees.
Okay, if this is 30 and that's 90, this has to be what?
60.
If that's 60, this has to be what? 30.
Because adjacent angles.
And that has to be 60. Okay, so I got all my angles.
That's not complementary.
It's a rectangle, so that has to be 13. See how quickly this is going? Then if I just look at that side, I have a 30, 60, 90.
Oh, we gotta know what to do. I know what to do.
So the hypotenuse is what? How long is the hypotenuse?
26.
And how long is this?
13 times square root of 3.
See? It's like a puzzle.